Hey everybody, welcome back. You are listening to 한국어천재 on TBS EFM 101.3 in Seoul and the surrounding areas. And you're hanging out with me, Kayla. And it's time for food talk. But I am not here alone. I got to do this with the man, the master, the chef himself, Chef Matthew. Hi, Matt.
Howdy, howdy.
How's it going?
Great. Even though it's raining, it's still a great day.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys here, but it has been raining all day in Seoul. It is just one of those like super changma days here in Seoul. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that Matt's here because we decided that this week we would kind of do something fun and we would kind of take a spin on some of these vegan foods that we've been talking about for the past, 2 weeks
Yeah,
here?
yeah. And, the reason why we want to talk about it, too, is because today we're talking about Korean foods that are actually like naturally vegan or can be made vegan with like a very small tweak.
Yeah, exactly. So for everyone here who's listening in, I'm just curious if you guys eat some vegan foods or maybe if you have a particularly favorite vegan food. If you do, send us a message in and maybe you'll be able to win a Vatos coupon. 네, 여러분 그 가장 좋아하시는 비건 음식 무엇인가요? 그 샵 1013으로 그 문자를 보내주시거나 뭐 인스타그램으로 뭐라 해야 되지? 그냥 DM도 보내주세요. Why did I forget the word for DM? I would love to hear from you guys and you might be able to win that coupon. But today, we've got these vegan foods and I'm curious to see like how we're going to be able to kind of incorporate them into our daily lives here because especially in days like today when you don't feel like necessarily cooking.
Sure.
There are some really good vegan meals that just kind of warm the soul. They're like the chicken soup for the soul sort of thing.
This is why, despite it being the middle of July, we're both wearing hoodies right now. It's because it is cold and soggy outside. And sometimes you just want like a big steaming pot of something to just kind of warm you up from the inside, right?
Oh, yeah, it's so good. Like it's just that little ball of warmth that just spreads out across your whole body.
Yes.
I love that feeling.
And so if you want something hot, nothing better than hot pot or Korean jeongol.
Oh my gosh. You guys, jeongol is like, it's so good because it's like you said, it's literally hot pot.
Right.
And you kind of just eat, it's not the same as like, what do I want to say? Those kind of dipping and 찍어 먹는 거 아니고. It's just like you kind of eat it, what comes in there. But I always get kind of confused between jeongol and 찌개 and 국. Like what
and
is?
찜.
Oh, and 찜.
And 탕.
Oh yeah, like
No,
what?
they're like, okay, if you look this up online, so in researching this, like, I look it up online, no one knows. It's a battlefield out there, and everyone is so convinced that they're right. So the big thing that you'll find is like the difference between like 찌개 and 국.
Okay.
And so some people will say, it comes down to like a specific ratio of like solids to liquids. Others will say that, it's a linguistic thing. I'll tell you this straight up. There is very little distinction, but they're kind of broad distinctions that you can make.
Okay, because like I really struggle with this, so please like help me in any way you can.
Okay, so here are some basic rules that not all dishes follow, but most.
Okay.
jeongol is a hot pot, which means that it's usually cooked at the table and is usually shared. And there's usually relatively little broth compared to how much solids there are in there. So it's like basically it's a one pot meal.
Okay, so it's less broth, more goodies.
Right.
And it's cooked there. But I have one that I feel like you're going to have to explain this then. Things like my favorite, 부대찌개.
Right. I know. I'm completely with you on that one.
Oh my gosh, I nearly threw my headphones across the room. 부대찌개, which is my favorite
Should be a
찌개.
jeongol.
It's a jeongol.
But you know what? What about 찜닭? Also should be a jeongol. And 해물찜.
Oh my gosh.
All these things.
찜닭. Okay, so we're having a meltdown here for those who are watching the 보이는 radio. So 부대찌개 is a 찌개.
Right.
But it is one of those things that doesn't have a lot of broth, at least the places I have. And
Yes.
we just load it up with, sausages, hot dogs, kimchi, 콩, like what else is there?
Cheese.
Cheese, tofu,
Right.
고구마, like ramen. You can put anything in it and it's just this boiling pot and you cook it in front of you. That is jeongol in my opinion.
Right.
Oh, you guys.
Right. So, like I said, it gets messy. And then 찌개 generally is, I think, what you'd more equate with like a Western style stew.
Yeah.
Right, a little bit thicker. It's not super thick like you imagine like a beef stew to be.
Yeah.
Like the broth generally won't coat a spoon unless if you're talking about something like 비지찌개 or like 청국장. And then 국. Here's a big one though. This is that 국 generally tends to be like you have your own serving. You generally don't tend to share a kuk at the table.
Yes, that's so true.
It's
I
much
often,
more brothy.
You order like your own and it comes out in those little pots a lot of the time. And like for me, I love sundubujigae.
Right.
Like, sundubujigae is just, it's that tofu and it's so good. And that to me fits the jjigae stereotype, which is the lots of broth, kind of stewy, you know, and it's my personal serving usually.
No, see, jjigae, like I'm talking about more of a home situation.
Oh, this is home.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So this is, again, it gets kind of complicated because you generally, or sometimes you will get like a shared jjigae if you get it as part of like a shiksa.
That's
so
true.
Sometimes you'll get like a jjigae for the table. But
the
you
shared
generally
one.
never get a cook for the table.
That's true. Yes. I can't think. Okay, so 된장국, 순두부국. Yeah, normally I don't. That's true. This is the problem, you guys. Everyone, there's so much overlap here that we could argue it until we're blue in the face. But like, let's take a look at some of these comments we got in here. So Renjay Winnie says, my biggest regret is not eating before food talk. Matt, I have to say that because of you, during the rest of the week, whenever I talk about food, I get very descriptive and I think it's your fault here.
I'll take the blame for that one. You know what? I just look at myself. I'm just stimulating global economies by making people go out after that.
I love it. Now, Huang Hugs here says, are French fries vegan food?
Most of the times, yes. Most of the times, yes. However, you have to look out for that one major fast food chain.
Yes.
You know, the one with the big. You know,
yes, there's a very big famous
thing.
one.
Yeah. So that one in certain markets, it does use beef extract in their French fries. But by and large, French fries are generally vegan. They're good to go. Same with ketchup.
That's good to hear. Now, we did get a message in from 1807님. Oh, this is my first time reading, so let's take a look. It says, 한국에서는 비건 푸드라고 말하면 다들 되게 생소한 문화라고 느끼는 것 같은데 생각해보면 떡볶이 같은 한국 음식도 뭐 나름 되게 비건 푸드인 것 같아요. 제 음식이라고 해도 될 것 같아요. I think that's probably true that like 떡볶이, we've talked about this, can be like made vegan.
As long as there's no like 멸치 in the in the
sauce
육수 that goes into it, or if they don't use any of those kind of like animal product like concentrates, like you know like a beef concentrate or chicken concentrate, then yeah, it can absolutely be vegan. You just take out the 어묵.
네네. 그래서 그렇게 그냥 멸치나 그런 거 들어가지 않으면 괜찮을 것 같아요. 문자 보내주셔서 감사합니다. Thank you. 우리 마토스 쿠폰 보내드릴게요. Thank you. Oh, we got another comment in here. It's from 4595. It says, I tried vegan food because of my vegan friend and went to this place called Cafe in Itaewon. I had an avocado burger and it was great. I know this cafe. I cannot say the name, but I know the cafe that's there.
You know, it's funny. She wrote like star cafe, so it looks like we're censoring a swear word.
You know, it does. I can't say the name of it, but I do know this cafe. I was just there this morning and it is delicious. Their vegan burgers are out of this world. So that's what we mean. If you look, you can find delicious food all around Seoul, but especially Itaewon is very well known for it. I got another message in here from 1340님. Oh, this one too, first time seeing it. Let's see. It says, 감자랑 콜리플라워 완두콩이 가득 들어있는 인도 음식 카레. Oh, curry. Here, 알루고비? What is aloo gobi?
Aloo gobi, or sometimes people call it gobi aloo. It's like kind of like a drier was an Indian dish. It's not like it's usually not a very like runny curry, but yeah, it's peas. Potatoes and cauliflower. It's absolutely delicious. It's packed with flavor. It's one of my favorites actually.
오, 알루고비 처음 들어봤는데 다음에는 제가 인도 식당 가보면 제가 꼭 먹어볼게요. 네, 제가 제일 좋아하는 비건 음식이에요. 그리고 또 모두가 사랑하는 감자튀김이에요. 감자는 언제나 맛있어요. 인정. Absolutely. I love that 튀김. 근데 요즘에는 제가 다이어트 하고 있어서 튀김 좀 피하고 있습니다. I'm trying to avoid like the plague. 참 재밌는 문자 보내주셔서 정말 감사합니다. 마토스 쿠폰 보내드릴게요. Thank you. Now, here, we do have a ton of foods that we can go through here. So I feel like we got to get back to this 전골 here. What all goes into 전골? I feel like you can kind of have a lot that goes into them.
I mean, it's great because this is, like I said, a one-pot meal, and it's great to feed an entire family, especially if you're trying to do something quickly. It's mostly chopping. Okay. So it's two parts. You have your foods that you're simmering, and then you have your broth. And so today I want to talk about 버섯 전골, a
Yes.
mushroom hot pot.
Oh my gosh, I love mushrooms. This
Right.
is so exciting. You
Oh,
guys.
this is great because our listeners all around the world can make this just because again we have those kind of basic Korean kitchen staples, and then you have these ingredients that are available all around the world, namely mushrooms. And the great thing about this is that you can make them with any type of mushroom. I was racking my brain for this with this one. I don't think there's a single mushroom I can think of that wouldn't go well in here that you would normally cook and eat. Medicinal mushrooms aside,
Okay,
the
yeah.
really hard ones that you really can't chew through.
Yeah.
So it's basically that. It's your vegetables. So in Korea, you'll use things like 느타리 버섯, so like black oyster mushrooms, 모기 버섯, the woodier mushrooms, 새송이 버섯, the king oyster mushrooms, all sorts of types. 표고, which are my favorite. They're really fragrant. And so you have all these, plus some other vegetables. Usually they take the form of like 양파, onion, 대파, big green onion, and then some 애호박, which is like a Korean version of zucchini. It's not quite the same thing. It's a little bit sweeter, but if you have zucchini, use zucchini. And then maybe
Absolutely.
some carrots. And then so get all those chopped up, nice bite-sized pieces. Then you're going to make your broth. Again, super simple. Here's a pro tip. Take all of your trim from your mushrooms, so all those woody ends that you
Yeah.
slice right off, and that will make a wonderful broth for you. And if you're running low on them, or if you're using types that don't have to be trimmed that much, you can put some dried mushrooms in there, like 말린 표고버섯.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
you guys, this is so delicious. I can't even stop talking about like my love of mushrooms knows no bounds here. I would choose to have a mushroom burger over an actual burger some days. That's not a
Right.
joke. I love it that much.
And here's the weird thing about mushrooms: if you were told from like a baby that mushroom was meat, and you grew up, I would have no problem believing that this came from an animal, just because it is so meaty. It doesn't have that vegetable texture.
It's very rich and you can do a lot with it. Oh, actually, we got some really fun comments in here. First of all, from 4595. Hi again. It says, my vegan friend actually loved tteokbokki, but she couldn't eat because it's spicy.
That is true.
That is true. It is a thing that we'll have to go through. But cheongol itself, can it be spicy? Or
So
is
the recipe I'm about to tell you today is a little bit spicy, but if you really can't handle heat at all, there's a purely 간장 soy sauce based version as well.
Perfect. And then we also have a message in here from 9497. I'm blushing right now. It says, hi, I'm Romy. Hi, Romy. It says, I know the vegan restaurant in Itaewon you are talking about. I was there yesterday too. Woo! We're all fans of this place here.
It's good.
Vegans unite, right? Thank you so much for the comment, Romy. Now let's get into this because I kind of want to see if I can maybe attempt this at home. If you guys do attempt any sort of cheongol at your house, you follow Matt's recipe, send me a picture. I would love to see any pictures of what you guys have to make.
Yeah, and like I said, super simple. So you're going to take a pot. And the thing about a cheongol pot, it's always much wider than it is tall. It's very shallow, but wide. Great for sharing.
Oh, I love that.
So right in here, you're going to make your broth. And it's going to be, like I said, your mushroom stems or your dried mushrooms, your 다시마, your giant kelp. It brings those glutamates to the party. Again, meatiness, water, 된장, fermented soybean paste, 고추장, fermented chili paste, 고춧가루, the red pepper flake. And those bring a different type of heat, each of them. Sugar, and 국간장. So it's that type of 간장 I was telling you about that's a little bit cleaner, a little bit more simple, perfect for something like this. And then a big heap of minced garlic.
Yes, give me the garlic. I will breathe all over you guys after I'm done eating it.
Okay, so you got all those ingredients, right? Mm-hmm. Put them in your stock in your cheongol pot. Let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Fish out your 다시마 and your mushroom pieces. And then you're just going to arrange all of your ingredients nicely. Take your mushrooms, take these mushrooms, put into a little pile here, the next type, little pile there, onions, and you just make a nice arrangement out of it, and then you're ready to go. You're ready to serve. All you have to
that's
do is
easy.
just boil it again
That
at the
is
table,
so
and then you all
easy.
share it together.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's like interior decorating for your food. All you have to do is decorate the top of it and then let it simmer some more and you're done. Bada boom, bada bing.
Right. It's basically it's the food equivalent of those little toy bricks that you play with, right? You can just make anything out of them. A infinite configuration of what you can have in a jeonggol and easily made vegan.
Okay, so I feel like this should be the challenge that we give for our genie listeners here. If you guys make this jeonggol here, and you don't have to exactly copy every single vegetable, it's kind of what you want to make your own version. Send me a picture. I really want to see your guys' attempt at all these jeonggols here. That would be so cool to see. And Hyunji Choi says, 육수를 먼저 내고.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we are like handling it here. Even Hyunji Choi is learning something from the show.
So you start with your broth. And then again, if you really want to make a one pot, do it in your nimbi, in your jeonggol nimbi. And then you can just pick out the solid bits that you don't want to eat later.
There's your 꿀 tip, everybody. There's your pro tip here from Matt. But I feel like before we go, we have time to cover one more little thing here, and that's probably one of the easier things to make as well.
Yes.
And this one here are the chuns, right?
Right, chun.
Oh, I love chun. I know I say this about every food because I'm a foodie. I love this, I love that, but I do. I love them. What is chun for everyone?
Okay, so this is going to be another kind of like tricky thing because chun can really mean two different things here in Korea, but they're really the same thing. I'll fill you in why. So the chun we're talking about today are those Korean savory pancakes. And I'd say at this point, they're pretty world famous. Sometimes they have kimchi in them. Sometimes they have seafood. The one we're going to be talking about today is vegan. So we're doing a pajeon, a green onion pancake. However, you know the other type of chun, right? The type you eat around the holidays where it's just like little bite-sized pieces of meat, fish, or vegetables that are pan-fried.
Yeah, exactly.
So why are both of these dishes called chun?
That's okay. That now I've never thought of that. Why? I don't know.
So I this was killing me a while ago. So I did some deep digging and I figured it out.
Okay.
So what both of these things have in common is a flour-based food that's cooked shallow fried in oil. And that's what really ties the two together.
Oh, so it's the style of cooking
style
as
of
well
cooking,
as
right.
the kind of ingredient that
Right.
goes into it there.
Right, so chun, so that's why you can have anything from say like a nokdujeon to like a pajeon to like something like a daegujeon, like a cod, like little cod was it fritters that you
Yeah.
eat. What they all have in common essentially is like a flour-based batter that's cooked in oil.
And these all qualify as chuns here. Well, even 현지 최 here says 비 오는 날엔 막걸리와 런전. Get out. Get out of here. All these 아재 개그s. Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to tell Renjun this one later. He's going to die. That's hilarious. And Kim Shiun here says, 와, 저 오늘 애호박 넣어서 감자전 먹었어요. Oh, this was one that I wanted to get to here in a little bit because we're talking about pajeon. But I honestly don't eat pajeon that much.
Okay.
I eat 감자전.
Oh,
And
so
I'm big on the potatoes. I
Right.
love the carbs, you guys. And so, like, the 감자전, would that still be considered vegan?
yes.
Okay.
So your basic 감자전. Again, if you're going out to eat and you're concerned, then definitely ask to see if there are any kind of like animal products in there. But like your basic straightforward recipe is vegan. And really at the heart of it, you can make 감자전 with just potato. Because a lot of the times when you're making it on your own, you'll use like, you'll either use some like potato starch from a packet.
Yeah.
But if you really want to go old school and you're willing to kind of like, give yourself arthritis by all the grating, what you can do is you grate a potato and then you squeeze all the water out of it and then let that water settle and you'll have natural potato starch that comes out of your own potato and you mix it all together. That potato kind of helps bind it all, but you're getting rid of the water to keep it from going mushy. But 감자전 is also one of my favorites, but it's such a hassle to make, so I generally go out and eat that one.
That would make sense. Now, we don't have much time left, but if you were to say, like, the fastest way to make some chun here, what could you kind of boil it down to?
Right. So the great thing about chun is that if you're doing it, you can make it completely vegan while staying traditional. A lot of recipes will use egg, but here's the thing: a lot of recipes don't. And the one that we use won't be using egg. It uses potato starch instead. And that fills in for the egg because it kind of gives it the crispiness that the white would give it, and then it also gives it a little bit of the chewiness that the yolk would give it. So all you need to do to make your batter is mix together flour, potato starch, ice cold water, and this is key. This helps keep it nice and light. And then a little bit of vegetable oil in the batter. You want to mix that in with your ingredients or your inclusions. Sometimes, though, people will put that in the pan. And then here's the real key. Fry it in more oil than you think you need. I'm talking about like a good half a centimeter in the pan.
Like bathe it
Right.
in oil.
So this is how you know you don't have enough oil. You do it and you have like these very pale patches and these burnt patches. That's what you get with not enough oil. But if you get that oil nice and hot and you use enough of it, most of it doesn't go in the food. As long as you're cooking it nice and hot, it's just going to be on the outside and it's going to drain right off after you're done.
Perfect. We've got all the good tips from Matthew. He gives us all those pro chef tips that I definitely did not know. So this is helpful for me. Thank you so much, Matt, for being here.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you guys as well for tuning in for 한국어천재 today. But that's all the time we have today. This was 한국어천재. I'm Kayla. I'll see you guys tomorrow.